Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Lisa Lynn Valvano. Now, Lisa is accompanied by her caretaker, who's actually going to be the one speaking on her behalf. Caretaker is by the name of Glennie. Now, we're going to be discussing Lisa's fantastic book, My Fight to Survive, an inspirational true story, available for purchase through Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. And I will say, Lisa was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business. Author Reputation Press Publishing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, do yourself a favor and contact ARP. And you can find out more information on them at authorreputationpress.com. And guys, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Lisa and Glennie here on the line with us today. Right there in the title, My Fight to Survive, an inspirational true story. That's going to give you a very good idea of what we're going to be discussing today. Now, I'm really looking forward to this because, guys, Lisa is absolutely the truest embodiment of a person of distinction, okay? Now, it's a self-help memoir that we're going to be discussing today, and Lisa constructed this book based upon her particular experience. Now, I'm not going to go in depth too much with her story. I'm going to leave that to Lisa and to Glennie. But guys, listen, when you hear this narrative, when you go to her Amazon page, her Barnes & Noble page, and you purchase a copy of her book, My Fight to Survive, you'll understand exactly why I say Lisa is a person of distinction. Her story is one of inspiration, and the obstacles that she has had to face in her lifetime maybe, I'm sure, at certain moments seemed insurmountable, seemed like a daunting task. And by no means was it easy. But at the end of the day, what makes it so special is it's a universal message that we can all relate to. Guys, we know once you've reached a certain age in life, you realize obstacles and adversity are just part of our journey. Now, the severity of those obstacles will vary based upon the individual, but we can all relate to times where we felt like we had no options, where we felt we had hit a dead end, where we couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And what's so important is you may not be able to relate to every single thing that Lisa discusses in her book, but I promise you, you can relate to the feeling of hopelessness, right? You can relate to those obstacles in your path. And what is amazing about it is once you hear her story, that message of inspiration is always underlying everything. So as you listen to this interview, as you read through her book, always keep that in mind. How can I implement this into my day-to-day life? How can I learn from Lisa's story and her perseverance to never give up and utilize her strength to build my foundation? So without further ado, let's jump right in. First and foremost, Lisa and Glennie, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being guests. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I am good, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Lisa, we're very much looking forward to learning about your story and about your fight that you've had to sustain. And Glennie, thank you very much for participating in this and really being able to speak on her behalf, because we know that the message that we're going to receive is so powerful and so many people are going to be able to benefit from her story. So thank you very much for cooperating and doing this.
My pleasure.
Now, Lisa, I know we have so much information to cover, And this first question, because your book is a memoir, this first question may tie into the story itself. And if it does, totally fine. But let's start off. Talk to our listening audience. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, please.
I'm now 56.
I am now 56,
And it has not been easy.
and it has not been easy.
Lisa, I know your book is surrounded right there in the title, My Fight to Survive. So we know, of course, you are a fighter, right? It's there in the title. And we know that there are obstacles that you've had to face in your lifetime. Talk to us a little bit more in depth about your book itself and some of the obstacles that you've had to fight to survive through.
But first of all, when I had the accident,
Well, first of all, when I had the accident,
I never expected to live.
I did never expect it to be alive.
And they put me on a respirator,
And they put me on a respirator,
and I was in intensive care for 4 months.
and I was in an intensive care for 4 months.
Wow.
Then in rehab for another year.
And then in rehab for another year.
So it was a very difficult time, not only for me, but for my family.
So it was a very difficult time, not only for me, but for my family.
Absolutely. Now, Lisa, when you talk about the accident, what accident are you talking about? Can you talk to us a little bit more in depth with what happened?
Yeah. I was, it was in 1975, and it snowed unexpectedly.
Well, it was in 1975, and it snowed unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother, my sister, and a friend of the family
And my brother, my sister, and a friend of the family
decided to go bargaining.
decided to go tobogganing.
My sister,
Yeah, with her sister
for the last time of the night,
for the last time of the night.
and we were going downhill,
They were going down the hill.
and we hit a backward,
They hit a patch of ice.
and I had to go to the front. If the car flung, went down,
So since I was in the front,
and the car flung,
hit the top
well,
rail,
down,
slid down,
and get snapped.
and my neck snapped.
Oh my goodness. So Lisa, if I'm hearing you correctly, so it sounds like this was it must have been a winter accident. You said you guys hit a patch of ice, and
Yeah,
from that accident, of course, you suffered a severe neck injury. Yes.
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 How long was the recovery period after the injury was sustained?
I'm still recovering.
I'm still recovering.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, laughing.
laughing. Lisa, this is absolutely incredible, and again, such a difficult story to hear, right? I mean, instantly as you're going through and you're painting this picture, it's such a vivid it's such a vivid imagery that we're seeing. And I, being an East Coast boy myself, like I grew up and was raised there, and for 6 months out of the year, it was frigid weather, right? And we're dealing with ice and snow all of the time. So this is something that I can absolutely relate to. But to hear your story and the severity of it is astonishing. Now, Lisa, I'm curious, why did you feel compelled to write this book and to tell your story to the public at large? Why was that important for you to put this book out?
Back in the mid-90s,
Well, back in the mid-90s,
someone offered me an opportunity to promote music and concerts.
someone offered me an opportunity to promote music and concerts.
Yeah. I always wanted to write my story to give other people.
And I always wanted to write my story to give to other people hope.
So I thought, okay, let me start to write my book.
So I thought, okay, let me start to write my book.
And it took me 2 years.
And it took me 2 years.
I never went into business.
And I never went into business.
You know, Lisa, I'm sure that, as I stated before, your story is truly one of inspiration, given what you've had to contend with and how you've never lost hope and you've continued to fight and persevere. Now, I know that probably hasn't always been the case, and I'm sure the battle has wavered, and it always, maybe you had moments where you felt like giving up, but clearly you haven't. And you're someone that has... Go ahead.
I have had many moments.
Oh, I'm sure. And that is reason why my next question that I'd love to ask you, Lisa, given that, of course, we're all human, right? And you are as well. And having those moments is completely appropriate and is so understandable. Now, I want to take this opportunity to ask, for our listening audience out there, for anyone, especially after the year that we've all just had, there's a lot of, this past year has shown and has really been very turbulent for a lot of people with this pandemic. And of course, the severity of it, I'm not comparing to the situation that you've encountered, but from the standpoint of having an obstacle in front of you and having the heart and the will to continue to fight and persevere is really the heart of what I want to get to. So for anyone out there that's listening in right now, that finds themselves going through a similar situation in the sense of hopelessness and severity of difficultness that they have in front of them, Lisa, how did you find the strength to continue to fight in your journey? And which words of wisdom can you give to anybody out there listening in that is also fighting their own battle?
Well, I've always been religious.
Well, I have always been religious.
My parents raised me that way.
My parents raised me that way.
And I found my faith
And I found my faith
in God.
in God.
So that's what kept me going.
So that's what kept me going.
I want to give up
I want to give up
many times, but
many times, but
I don't.
I don't.
Absolutely. And Lisa, we thank you for A, for not giving up, but B, for also having the bravery to put this book together and put your story out there. Because I promise you, this book is going to help, and has already, I'm sure, helped so many people. Your story of perseverance and bravery and strength is something that is truly enticing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you are very welcome. You are very welcome. This is something that we all need to hear, and we thank you for sharing that. Lisa, the next question that I'd love to go into, what would you say, given this process of writing this book and really putting everything together, what would you say was something that maybe surprised you about this journey that you weren't expecting prior to embarking upon it?
What surprised me is that as I was writing,
What surprised me is that as I was writing,
my emotions took over at times. Sometimes.
my emotions took over sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't expect that.
and I didn't expect that.
Like there's one scene I remember I wrote about
Like there's one scene I remember I wrote about
high school graduation,
high school graduation,
and I actually cried.
and I actually cried
Because a classmate gave me a standing ovation.
because my classmate gave me a standing ovation,
And
and I never expected that.
I had the accident.
When I had the accident,
I was only 9,
I was only 9.
Oh
and
my goodness.
whoever thought my life would end up this way.
And whoever thought my life will end up this way.
And we need to remember that life is precious,
We need to remember that life is precious,
and
Absolutely.
each day matters.
and each day matters.
But it's easy to forget that.
But it's easy to forget that.
Of course. It is. It absolutely is easy to forget that. And that's why, Lisa, having you here as a guest on our network today has been so powerful. Guys, I'm going to say it for you one more time, even though I know I don't have to, even though I know you're all already there. But I'm going to impress it for you one last time. Here on the line with Lisa Lynn Valvano. Speaking also with Glennie, who has been speaking on behalf of Lisa, we discussed her fantastic book, My Fight to Survive, an inspirational true story available for purchase through Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Do yourself a favor. Let's come together. Let's grow, let's develop. In the way that we come together, the way we grow and develop as a society, as a human family, is through knowledge, right? It's through educating ourselves. The wisdom that you'll be able to acquire through this fantastic narrative is something that is truly priceless. Lisa, once again, you truly are a person of distinction, and we are honored to have you here. Thank you once again for being with us today on People of Distinction.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.